This is Chapter 4 of Smoke. What are you talking about? Ellie asked. Come on, let's go. Sylvie refused to budge. If you try to take me back, I'll just run away again, she said. Tears welled up in her eyes. Just take me home and I'll show you. Please, the little girl pleaded. Ellie glanced off in the distance. The smoke was thick, like a giant wall of black cotton. It seemed to smother even the tallest trees. The fire must be moving fast, Ellie thought. If the wind doesn't change, they might have just enough time to go to Sylvie's house. Besides, Ellie couldn't be sure she could keep Sylvie from running away again. That would waste more time. Maybe it was better to just go to the Rivera house and get it over with. All right, Ellie said finally, but I'm only doing this because your house is close by. Come on, and hurry. Ellie quickly led them along a narrow path, then up a steep hillside. In a few minutes, the girls were racing toward the Rivera home. What's so important that you have to come back here? Ellie asked as they quickly ran up the brick path to Sylvie's front door. Sylvie ran into the house, shouting, Rufus! Here, kitty! Rufus! Where are you? Here, kitty, kitty, kitty! Your cat? Ellie asked when she caught up to the younger girl. You came back here to save your cat? I had to, started Sylvie. Ellie was angry. Your pet is probably far, far away from here by now. Cats are a lot smarter than some people. But Rufus couldn't leave, Sylvie said, running through the house. She's having kittens. Rufus? She? Sylvie was a funny little kid, but Ellie told herself. When is the last time you saw your cat? Ellie asked. 2 days ago, Sylvie said. She was becoming more and more upset. I let her out that morning, and I haven't seen her since. Now Ellie was worried. Rufus might have had her kittens, then hidden them for safety's sake. In that case, finding the animals would take time, and the girls didn't have much time to spare. Through one of the living room windows, Ellie could see the thick black smoke drawing nearer. Does Rufus have any special places she likes to go? Does she climb into the kitchen cabinets or crawl behind the furnace? Ellie asked. Sylvie thought for a moment. There's an old barn out back, she remembered. Rufus likes to hunt mice back there. Well, come on, Ellie said. She and Sylvie tore out of the house and ran toward the wooden barn out back. It feels a lot warmer out here, Sylvie said. She looked worried. Ellie coughed a few times. Her nose and throat felt dry and scratchy. The fire must be only a few miles away, she said. We've got to get out of here fast. The barn looked really old. The boards were all warped and splintered, and some had fallen off. Ellie swung open the large creaking door. It was dark inside. The floor was covered with dust and bits of hay. Ellie noticed some old wooden crates and some rags over in one corner. She stepped closer. Then she heard several faint meows. Inside one of the crates, Ellie found 5 tiny kittens. They were huddled together on top of an old plaid shirt. They look so scared, Sylvie said as she knelt beside them. Why would Rufus leave them alone like this? Maybe she went off to find food, said Ellie. She quickly checked to see if the kittens were all right. Or maybe she got caught out there when the fire started and... Ellie stopped her thought, seeing the panic in the little girl's eyes. Do you think Rufus is dead? The younger girl asked. Any cat with a name like Rufus can take care of herself, Ellie smiled. She bundled the kittens up in the plaid shirt. We can't just leave, said Sylvie. What if Rufus comes back? Ellie hurried for the door. I don't know if Rufus is coming back here or not, but I do know that if we don't leave, we'll all be toast, and that includes these kittens. The minute Ellie and Sylvie stepped out of the barn, they began coughing. A thin layer of smoke was drifting across the ground. Ellie hurried over to the garden hose on the side of the house. She put the kittens down, then tore off a sleeve from Sylvie's cotton shirt and soaked it in water. Then she tore the sleeve in two. Do what I do, she told Sylvie. The frightened girl obeyed quickly. The 2 girls wrapped the wet cloths around their mouths and noses. Ellie lightly sprinkled water all over the shirt full of kittens. She could hear their fearful meows through the cloth. Sylvie suddenly ran to the back door of the house. I have something to carry them in, she shouted. It's just inside the kitchen. Sylvie returned with her backpack, dumping her school books and supplies on the ground as she ran. I've always wanted to do that, she laughed. Ellie smiled and placed the kittens carefully in the backpack. Then she pulled the straps over her shoulder. Come on, she said as she started to run. We'll head towards my house. It's closer than going all the way back through the woods to the road. My parents and the other firefighters should still be there. Running through the woods was like running through a ghostly nightmare. Sometimes the girls could see the trees as barely more than shadowy shapes. Their eyes stung and teared from smoke. Wood hissed and crackled. Embers exploded in the air. The heat was almost unbearable. "This way, Sylvie!" Ellie shouted when they arrived back at the clearing at the top of the cliff. The girls hurried down the cliff path as fast as they could, trying not to stumble and fall. They had just reached the bottom when suddenly their path was cut off, and not by the fire. A herd of deer were racing towards the girls. Their eyes were wide with panic and fear. Ellie knew that in a matter of seconds the deer could trample them to death.